Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the remarkable life of Rabbi Meir Zini. It's a story that spans continents, and it really gets to the heart of what it means to fight to preserve a culture against, well, the relentless tides of history. So to really get a feel for what drove him, let's start with his own words. He's talking here about the power of memory and how crucial it is for a community to gather and share what's dear to them. And this very idea, the importance of remembering, it becomes the absolute cornerstone of his entire life. Okay, so where does this all begin? We have to go back to his youth in Algeria. Imagine this really vibrant, traditional world, a culture where learning was everything. But as you'll see, that world was on the brink of some massive, massive changes. Think about this for a second. His education starts at age 2. And how? His dad is drawing the Hebrew alphabet on cakes for him. I mean, how incredible is that? Long before he ever stepped foot in a school, learning was just part of life, part of the family. It wasn't some abstract thing. It was real. It was tangible. You could literally taste the knowledge. So this wasn't just learn your ABCs. The Algerian method was this really beautiful layered process. You start with the letters, sure. Then you add the vowels, get the sounds right. Then you start reading the sacred texts themselves. But here's the kicker, the last step. You learn the ancient cantillation. It's the music, the melody of the text. So you're not just reading words on a page. You're learning to sing its history, to feel its rhythm. It's a totally different level of understanding. But that world, that deep-rooted tradition, it was about to be completely shattered. Global conflict changes everything. And for Rabbi Zinzi, his character, his resilience, it's really forged in this trial by fire of war and displacement. Just look at this timeline. It's absolutely wild. In 1940, the Vichy regime strips him of his citizenship and throws him in a labor camp. His own country. 3 years later, boom, he's back. And not just reinstated, he's a military rabbi, an officer in the Free French Army. Then in 1945, he marries Rachel, a survivor of Auschwitz, finding hope in the absolute darkest of times. And then, after all that, in 1962, he's forced out of Algeria, a refugee, having to start his entire life over again. I mean, the highs and lows are just staggering. So, he arrives in France, a refugee. You might think the struggle is over, but no. He's facing a whole new challenge. He finds a community that's lost its anchor, and a synagogue that's basically about to close its doors for good. And this slide just lays it out so clearly, right? On one side, you have the Montmartre Synagogue in 1975, almost totally abandoned, empty, an echo of a community. Then you look at what it became under Rabbi Zanini, a thriving hub for more than 600 North African families. He didn't just move in. He took this place that was dying and basically performed CPR, breathing life back into it and making it the beating heart of a whole new community. He was a rebuilder. But, rebuilding the community, getting people in the door, that was really only half the job. His true life's mission, his passion, was making sure that the specific culture, the unique traditions of the world he came from, that they wouldn't just vanish forever. So how did he do it? Well, let's take a look. The man became, for all intents and purposes, a living archive. He knew that just telling stories wasn't enough. You need tools to keep a culture alive. And he used everything he could get his hands on. We're talking hundreds of audio recordings to capture the exact sound of prayers and chants. He reissued traditional prayer books, making sure they were exactly right. He insisted on precise historical pronunciation, no shortcuts. He started a school for the kids, the next generation, and through it all, he fostered this deep connection to Israel. It was a full-court press to preserve this incredible heritage. So what's the driving force behind all this? I mean, this is tireless, relentless work. Well, it all comes down to a really profound philosophy of leadership, something he passed down to his kids that really explains the why behind everything he did. Okay, so his son, Rabbi Yosef Zini, breaks it down like this. There are basically two models of leadership. In a perfect world, your leader is the philosopher king, the wisest, most righteous person around. They provide pure moral guidance. But let's be real, our world isn't perfect. So what we often get, and what society often needs, is the practical leader, the bulldozer, as he calls it, the person who is strong, charismatic, and just gets stuff done. So where does a scholar like Rabbi Meir Zini fit in? Right here. His role wasn't to be the bulldozer, but to be its conscience, to advise, to influence, and to make sure that practical power is always grounded in wisdom and justice. And that's the thing about his legacy. It's not just sitting on a shelf in some old recordings or dusty books. No way. It is a living, breathing tradition. It's carried on today by his sons, who are both rabbis, and through an association that's actually building a new synagogue in his name in Jerusalem. So that bridge he built, it doesn't just connect the past to the present. It literally stretches from Paris all the way to Jerusalem. Which brings us to this final question, really the core of his whole story. When an entire world just disappears, what does it actually take to keep its memory alive? And I think Rabbi Zini's life gives us the answer. It's not enough to just passively remember. It takes action. It takes rebuilding, it takes teaching, and more than anything, it takes the commitment to live that memory every single day.